Earth is alive. It's a living, breathing, dynamic connection of ecosystems. And every living thing on this planet coexists in balance with nature, except humans. We are existing in a way that is unsustainable.
You know, in 20 or 30 years, we could be looking at a planet that's drastically different than what we're used to, or a United States that's drastically different than what we're used to. The big cause of climate change is the fact that we're adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere through burning fossil fuels. We're now at a level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that we haven't been for probably 800,000 or 900,000 years, maybe before that.
The reality of the situation is that we're dumping fossil fuels into the atmosphere at an enormous rate. So of course we're causing damage to the climate.
Climate science is a complicated subject, but the evidence is clear. Carbon dioxide levels are at their highest in over 500,000 years. Global temperatures have skyrocketed over the last century, and 19 of the last 20 years have been the warmest on record. The polar ice caps continue to melt, and sea levels continue to rise. And even as the effects become more real, those in power are still denying the evidence.
So Obama's talking about all of this with the global warming and that, and a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay? It's a hoax.
No, I think that measuring with precision human activity on the climate is something very challenging to do, and there's tremendous disagreement about the degree of impact.
You know, for a long time there was a whole denial about the fact that climate was changing at all. And then it sort of shifted over time to, well, it's changing, but it's due to the natural cycles. There are natural cycles in climate, and they manifest themselves over tens of thousands of years, not over the 100 or 150 years that we've been altering the climate by burning things like coal and other fossil fuels.
So the question is not whether climate change is happening or whether humans are causing it. The question is, what will be the impacts, and what can we do to stop it?
So I do think that it is a big threat to the planet, and more particularly it's a big threat to us as people. And I think how the threat is going to manifest itself more than anything is as climate warms, we're going to see more extreme events. Hotter summers, but perhaps deeper cold snaps like we've seen this winter. We expect to have more heavy rains, but yet more droughts. We expect these events to become more extreme when they do happen. It's really hard to envision what all those impacts are because everything is so interconnected. A small change in one thing can really have a big feedback somewhere else, and we don't know what those all might be. And so we're in the middle of a giant experiment that we're conducting on ourselves.
Although it's hard to predict the long-term impacts, we have already started to feel some immediate effects of climate change.
Hundreds of homes have been ruined across parts of Missouri, Iowa, and Nebraska after the snowstorm that hit Colorado last week moved to the Midwest. Rivers have reached historic levels.
Hurricane Maria slamming into the island, and as you heard, one official saying the island is destroyed. Maria is the first Category 4 to hit there in nearly a century.
In Northern California, the Camp Fire has claimed 9 lives and has become the most destructive fire in California history.
I think the United States in particular has not been very successful in dealing with climate change. We haven't had any real serious climate action at the federal governmental level. It's the old adage that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I think we're better off to take action sooner. It might be costly. It's going to cost more later. We have, oftentimes already in the U.S., we have 10, 20, 30 billion dollar weather disasters, disasters that cause at least $1 billion in damage each year. So how many more of those can we take? What is it going to be, 100 a year, 150 a year? I don't know, but at some point that becomes an unsustainable number. I think there's reason to be hopeful that we can meet the challenge of climate change and mitigate it before the consequences become really, really dire. If we globally took action and a lot of action today to mitigate climate change, we could limit the planet's warming to maybe a degree or 2 Celsius.
We have to take care of our planet. Imagine what we could accomplish as a species if we could coexist with the Earth as every other living thing on this planet does.